Hey, so hello everyone. Welcome back to Oliveboard regulatory bodies. You know that RBI Grade B phase 1 examination is over. You have also gone through the overall exam analysis and the answer keys for your RBI Grade B phase 1 exam for shift 2 as well as shift 1. Both shifts we have covered. Now we know what were the questions which were asked in exam, and that is why today now we will be discussing one of the most important topic, that is cutoff, which is going to be for this year's RBI Grade B phase 1 exam. So we are not trying to anticipate the expected cutoff here. Okay, no anticipations here, but definitely this video is about the cutoff prediction, in which I always give margins. Yes, rather than giving absolute numbers, we talk about margins. And if you fall into the margins, then definitely you should start preparing from this day itself. Okay, so when I'm giving you margins, there would be a minimum number and there would be a maximum number, and within that number only your phase 1 cutoff will be there. So let's begin our discussion with overall all the 4 sections of the phase 1 examination. Now past year cutoffs have been already given here on this particular slide. Let us go through more importantly the latest year of 2023. The GA cutoff was 12, the English cutoff was 4.5, the quant was 4.5, and the reasoning was 9. And the overall cutoff, when we are talking about, it was 54.25. Okay, once you understand this, okay, so now we can get an idea that if this was the overall cutoff tally, the overall cutoff is also there and sectional cutoffs are also there. Now let us compare the level of each section as with respect to the year of 2023. So let's talk about the first section, that is GA. So when I talk about GA, okay, we already discussed how the questions in GA were asked. So let me tell you, here I'll be writing at the bottom, when I talk about GA, it was tough. Okay, not only it was just tough, but also it had unorthodox question. Okay, so unconventional, unorthodox questions were there. Now what was the overall composition of GA? Mostly questions were from finance current affairs, RBI circulars, okay, and every time as in GA we expect that the questions will be from government schemes, those questions will be from report, indices and main reports like financial stability report. The questions will be from your PIB news, although these questions were there this time also, but the number of questions for finance current affairs and RBI circulars was much more higher. So finance current affairs dominated the GA section, and GA static also, and that GA static was not general awareness but a complete straightaway general knowledge. For example, World War question related to Pearl Harbor. For example, a question which was related to Abhinav Bindra. Okay, then question which was associated with Avinash Sabre related to your steeplechase. All these questions were not just general awareness of that particular year, but rather I would definitely say that this was a current affairs, or you may call it general knowledge. So that is why when GA was tough, it was lengthy also. Tits and bits were lengthy. If you look at the type of the questions which were asked, single statement and double line statements were asked maximum in this particular section. Overall, if you look at the level of this particular GA section, it was higher than the previous year. So if you look at the past year of 2023, the cutoff is 12, but this year GA was different in nature. That is why many of the students were awestruck, bamboozled. So what happened was that many of the students did not expected general awareness in this way. So that is why most of the students, their perspective is that, sir, this GA is little bit difficult. I would like to tell that GA is little bit moderate or difficult as compared to the last year, but how many questions anybody could have solved from GA? So if you are solving total 80 questions are there, anybody could have attempted 45 to 50 questions with an ease, and even he would have separate timing also enough to cross check these 45 to 50 questions. So what I'm trying to say is that इतना वक्त आपके पास काफी था कि आप एक बार में 50 क्वेश्चन सॉल्व कर सकते थे और उनका रिवीजन भी कर सकते थे, उनके एरर डिटेक्शंस भी कर सकते थे. It was possible to go through the 50-45 questions twice. Then let's talk about English. In English, the paper was moderate and similar to past year only. There were no that much changes related to topics or even questions. But surprising thing was that English was very lengthy this year. It was so lengthy that when we are talking about the overall questions which were asked, even for reading comprehension, in which the questions are expected to be single liners, which you fetch from the paragraph, even there the passage based questions were asked in your reading comprehension. This of course took a toll on even the frustration of the students as well as the timing. Okay? So English, again, what changed in English was, overall when we are talking about English, it was lengthy in nature. Okay, it was little bit lengthy in nature. Then when we are talking about English, the last year's cutoff was 4.5. So we can say that the cutoff will be more than this 4.5. For quant, totally when we are talking about, it's 4.5, right? So last year the quant cutoff was 4.5. This year there is no change in the topic or overall questions which are asked from the important topics. DI, arithmetic, these questions have repeated in the exam and these are recurring topics, no doubt about it. Surprisingly, the subject in which all students fear is quant, but this year's quant, when we are talking about, yes, it actually created problems for a lot of students. So many of the students expected that quant is going to be difficult. Listen to me very carefully. Every year quant is going to be difficult. But this year what students saw was quant was difficult, lengthy, and again it was that section which was the most difficult section out of all these four. So चारों सेक्शन में से सबसे डिफिकल्ट अगर कोई सेक्शन था तो वो क्वांट था. Now last year 4.5 cutoff was there. This year what I feel is that cutoff may go little bit, the cutoff may go little bit low. This is based on the difficulty, because quant, see, even if student predicted or expected that quant will come difficult, still it was difficult in nature that many of the students were worried when they came out of the examination hall. This is what we had even the discussion with the students. Reasoning, when I'm talking about here, 9 is the cutoff for the previous year. Here you will see that reasoning students, again a tough part, quant reasoning are expected to be difficult, but compared to last year, reasoning was little bit moderate this year. Now why it was moderate? Because if you look at the questions which are related to puzzles, setting arrangement, enough questions were there where students could have solved these questions. Even your critical reasoning or logical reasoning, whatever questions were there, these were good enough that you could have solved them and you would have got good marks. Now when you compare the difficulty of all these four sections, we come up with these are the cutoffs. Okay, so I will tell you clearly. For GA, the overall cutoff when we are talking about, it should be between 11 to 15 marks. Okay, again here when we are talking about 12 marks for past year, my personal number, if I want to give within this 11 to 15 marks, it should be 10 to 11. Okay, then English, when we are talking about, it's 4.5, and what I personally feel is that English cutoff may be between 5 to 8. Okay, then quant, when we are talking about, the cutoff last year was 4.5, but as you know that cutoff, like the quant was very difficult, so that is why 3 to 7 is the margin for the quant. And reasoning, when I'm talking about, the cutoff was 9. So again, reasoning was doable or moderate in nature, but still that's why I have kept cutoff of 7 to 11. It won't be surprising that reasoning cutoff may coincide with the last year's cutoff. Okay, but this year we also have to take care about two things. First is the number of seats. Second is difficulty. Number of seats and difficulty. Now the point is that the difficulty was increased because this paper, when we are looking at phase 1, considering the amalgamation of all these 4 sections and overall cutoff also, you will understand that the paper was moderate to difficult in nature. Okay, let's consider this. So considering that difficulty was also high, as many of the students are saying, especially for 2 sections, that is quant, reasoning, and also now you can even say GA. So why GA? So for all the students, reasoning was okayish for major of the students, English also was okayish, but quant and GA was hard nut to crack. Okay, so considering this difficulty was high, and then number of seats when we are talking about, already these are low. So therefore the overall cutoff which would be there, definitely it should be between 55 to 62 marks, considering the lower number of seats also, and your difficulty also. So these are the overall ranges of the cutoff. Now you look at what your attempt is. Also, after knowing or being judge your overall attempt, find out the attempt. Once you do that, then find out how much your accuracy could be there in the examination hall, and then find out how much score you are getting and does it fall into these particular margins or not. If these margins you are falling into for each section and overall cutoff also, then definitely it's time to start your preparation today itself. Okay, so overall when you look at the phase 1 examination, the difficulty also we have discussed about it. Okay, in the overall exam analysis also, question by question I told you that how the pattern has little bit become unconventional, and that is why students are feeling that okay, it is tough, because when you face a paper which is unconventional or which is different from the pattern as you expect, that time definitely you will feel that something is tough here. So considering all of these are your margins for each of the sections and overall cutoff also. Now once you get this number, take a screenshot and try to find yourself today at least that do you fall into these margins or not. Okay, now for GA and especially your quant, definitely the cutoff will be for the on the lower side of the margin, and for your English and the reasoning, the cutoff could be to the higher side of the margin. Okay, lower side because the paper the sections being tough. For overall cutoff, definitely it should be between 55 to 62 marks, and that's what the overall cutoff prediction we have done, so that you will get margins enough. Now this is not something which we are trying to say that okay, the cutoff will be in this only. This is just to give a guiding line, or little bit you should have numbers with yourself so that you understand, you analyze your performance in your phase 1 examination. So best of luck, and definitely look into where you are falling and start your phase 2 preparations as fast as possible. We have already launched multiple batches. If you are a student who is preparing for RBI Grade B 2024 phase 2 exam, and if you think that you will clear phase 1, definitely go and check out our batches, MCQ batch, descriptive batch. We have launched them for your needs. Thank you very much and best of luck.